Everyone, John Pynakker with Mojave Valley Daily News. Welcome into the Huddle. Got my guy here, Matt Curtis. What's going on, brother?
Good. How you doing?
Good. We are ready to talk NFL football. Before we get started, the Lions, the Seahawks, the Buccaneers, and the Washington football team. I wish they would do something with that. But
Agreed.
I hate saying that, Washington football team. They're all on byes this week, so that takes 2 games out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through all the games. Of course, at the end we'll talk about the Cardinals and the Raiders games. And then we got some that we will rapid fire at the end, games that I don't think people, might not be anybody watching ever
True.
around the country. But we're going to give you our opinions, and you can take them to the bank, right?
Oh, absolutely. Head across the river.
Across the river. All right, so right off the bat, let's. And this is brought to you by Anderson Ford here in Bullhead City. They got a bunch of things going on. Go to our website and check out some of the things that they've got going on. They got besides selling vehicles, that's what you guys do, right? Sell cars.
That's the primary. Sell and service.
That's the focus.
Yeah.
Okay, but they also do a lot of stuff for our community. They have bingo coming up on the 19th to help the holiday toy drive, the firefighters toy drive.
Correct.
And they got some other things going on. Loki's going to be stranded up on the roof during the whole thing. So go and check it out. You can see it on our website. All right, let's fire away. I love this game right off the bat. The Battle of Ohio. Cleveland Browns at the Bengals. Bengals are 2.5-point favorites. The Bengals, for a long time, they look like they're one of the better teams in the AFC at least. And then I don't know what happened last week. That was just wrong.
Yeah, starting the season, they were a contender. I think they need to ride their pony right now and make sure that Mixon's still getting that ball. They've kind of strayed away from that a little bit and try to do some other things. They need to go back to that workhorse.
I think that Jamar Chase has looked good, and I think that kind of made them go, hey, we have this deep threat. Let's keep feeding Jamar and kind of ignore the run and hurt him. On the flip side, you have the Browns, which, again, I think, and it's my opinion, and I don't really hear it too often from other people, but it's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. They have so many head cases on that team, and now you're starting to see even more of it. And when there's a problem between your star wide receiver and Beckham and your quarterback in Mayfield, when you have that problem, I mean, anything can go. I mean,
oh yeah, well, it goes back to that same thing with Mayfield, whether or not Mayfield's a true contender.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have questioned that one for years. And where's his consistency? Is he on? Is he off? Should he be playing at the level of football that he's playing at? Coming into the NFL, everybody had high expectations from him, and there's been a lot of movement with the guy, and there still seems to be just too much inconsistency to count on the guy, to consider him a true contender right now.
Yeah, is he back from his shoulder thing now? I didn't see anything that he was still not going to be there.
No, I think he's back.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So they're 4-4. They're behind Cincinnati, which is unusual. We never see that, but with the amount of talent on the team, I still believe that the Browns are more talented than the Bengals. But the Bengals are playing as a team, and the Browns are not.
Right.
So Cincinnati's favored by 2.5 at home. So I think technically that says that Cleveland is supposed to be the better team.
Correct.
Even though it's close. What do you got?
I'd say Cincinnati, giving them the home field advantage, but one of the keys are getting Mixon more involved. They got to go back to what was putting points on the board for them.
I think with most teams you can go to that, right?
Yeah.
If you guys can run the ball, you're going to beat the other team. You're holding onto the ball and keeping their offense off the field, and you're burning up the clock and moving down the field. They for sure got the better running attack with all the injuries Cleveland's had.
Yeah.
Sure. So, all right, I agree, Cincinnati. All right, Broncos at Cowboys. So, on paper, the Broncos have the second best scoring defense.
Right.
And the Cowboys have the best offense.
Correct.
But, honestly, the Broncos played garbage teams at the beginning, both New York's and Jacksonville's where they got their wins. So it's easy to keep those people. You can inflate your stats when half the season you played so far, you played against teams with bad offenses.
That week 4, we're all 0-7 or 0-4.
Yeah, and now the Broncos with the second best scoring defense. Now they lost Von Miller; he's been traded.
Which, let me tell you, that's the one move right there that I honestly looked at and I said, well, why?
That the Broncos let them get
go.
away.
And for the draft picks that you got,
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't anything fantastic.
Yeah.
So you look at what you're giving up. Granted, Von Miller's been in the league a while now, but is he at the end of his career? I don't think so. I mean, I think the guy's still playing strong. He's a contender. He's creating a lot of pressure out there, and to get rid of him when you're really still in the mix. So to me, it was almost, and it's funny. A couple of the guys over at the dealership are Bronco fans, and we were talking about it. And says, "Is this your way of saying you're done and you're going to give up and go for draft picks now? Mm-hmm. You're done with your season. You're giving away this guy?" But didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and I was reading something right after the trade. They said that Von Miller was like 5th in the league or 6th in the league or something when it came to percentage of the time that he's on the field and putting pressure on the quarterback.
Right.
So the guy still has it. Where they sent him off and paired him with is just makes the rest of the NFC a little bit nervous when they're going to the Rams like that. But
you sent him away to a team who, going into the season, was predicted to be the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
All you did was made that team that much stronger.
Yeah. All right, so Broncos at Cowboys. I think this is a pretty easy one. Cowboys are favored by 7.
Yeah.
Dak had an extra week off.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really need to take it apparently, but took it, and now he's doing better. Do the Broncos have a chance in this?
No, I don't believe so at all. I think that's probably going to be your blowout game of the week.
Yeah, I think so too. We've all. The Broncos have been exposed for who they are.
Yeah.
You're not saying that because you're a Raiders fan and you hate the Broncos, right?
Not at all.
All right, good.
I
had to get that disclaimer.
I hate the Chargers more. So.
All right, good. Well, I got the same thing. We have the Bears, the Vikings, and the Lions. The Lions are never an issue, and the Vikings are a problem, but we've always hated the Bears, so I hate the Bears. Sorry if you're a Bears fan, but that's how it is. All right, Falcons at the Saints. Jameis Winston is out for the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Siemian played pretty well.
He did.
Now Taysom Hill is back.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess they do the same thing with Siemian that they did with Jameis, where he's the starter, bring Taysom in for special packages or something. Yep. And then you have the Falcons, who, again, the Falcons are world beaters one week and egg beaters the next.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to figure out what's going on there.
No consistency at all with them. I mean, New Orleans. I'm surprised New Orleans has the record that they have with everything that's been going on over there and the moves and everything that have happened. But Taysom Hill, I mean, the guy can do it all. I mean, you can put him in a safety position if you need to. You can put him in a quarterback, slot, running back, wherever he needs to go. So, yeah, they're probably going to be running into a lot of the Wildcat packages with him in the game.
I think that's all I'd run with him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's all I'd run. I'd put him in the Wildcat. He can run. He can throw. He can, whatever. Saints are 5.5-point favorites. To me, I don't care who you have at quarterback there. If it's him or Simeon, to me, the Saints are the much better team all around than the Falcons, and the Falcons just don't have any consistency.
Falcons defense isn't going to be able to stop the run, and you're going to have a couple backs running out of that backfield now, and it's not just Kamara that's the threat anymore. So I mean, he's got a couple of relief guys back there that are bringing him for some breathers, and I don't see Atlanta defense stopping it.
Do you want to put a number on Kamara's yards for the game?
I'd say we're probably looking 120.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, Patriots at the Panthers. So reading this morning, Sam Darnold is in concussion protocol, but they don't know what his status is going to be. But McCaffrey is back. I think you and I talked about this a few weeks ago. I don't understand why you keep bringing him back as soon as you think he may be ready,
right,
and not just say, all right, look, 6 weeks or 2 weeks, or put him on the 8-week IR or something along those lines, because it seems like every time they do this, he comes back, and within a game or 2 games at the most, he's out again.
Yeah. And it's weird. If you look, they're saying he's back, but he still has an IR classification next to him.
Oh, but they can pull him. They can
pull that at any time. But yeah, he did. They did say early morning this morning he did practice though. He was on the field this morning.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems weird to me that you would keep putting him out there. So we have Mac Jones for the Patriots. Again, another guy that seems to be up one week and down the next.
Yeah.
When you watch him in the game, there's plays where you're like, man, that guy's really going to be. I mean, he's going to be really good, and then he does something stupid.
Yeah. He's going to have to come into his own. We talked about this the first couple of weeks that he played. You know, it's one of those things right now that he's. I think he's getting his feet under him. I think the speed of the game is still a little bit different. The intensity of the game is a little bit different, and the coverages that you're seeing, and just things of that nature. And I still would agree that the college ball is a little bit faster paced. But I think that the NFL packages, and when they put it all together, and you have the whole package 100%, every player out there being all in. I mean, you're getting a lot different looks from a defense, and the pressures that they're seeing. I don't think he's used to. And you're right, though. You know, he has his moments where you look at this guy and you're like, oh, you know, it was a play of greatness right there, or what he did, and then 2 plays later he'll fumble.
So, would you agree that he's got the talent to be a really good quarterback, or even a great quarterback? He just has to figure out the mental side of it, being able to read what defenses are, because he can make the throws, he can make the runs. When he has that guy, he does well and connects. But it just seems like it's more mental for him. It
is, no doubt. I mean, he's got the talent,
and that's because he's young.
Yeah, he's got the talent. I mean, he wouldn't be playing at the level he was if he didn't have the talent. I mean, he had something that wrote his ticket and got him where he is, and I mean that was his talent. And just you got to get in there. You're going to have to learn the system. I did notice there was a couple of times last week. You don't know whether it was a receiver running the wrong route or if it was him not remembering the passing tree, but there was a couple of times where they froze and receiver was open, or he was thinking the receiver was running an out when it was an in, or it was receiver was basically on the post. He was checking up like it was supposed to be a comeback, a curl, something along those lines. So I think there was some breakdown there, and that's just him not being fully comfortable with the program yet, or the packages yet, or knowing exactly what he's doing. He probably gets a little frazzled, but the talent's there. I mean, the guy, if he can get it all together and put it all together, you know, he could probably be that guy that comes out next year and has just a fantastic sophomore year in the league.
Do you know anything about the Patriots playbook? As far as does Belichick, do they got a million different plays, or are they pretty cookie cutter? I mean, they run the route trees and they have basic combinations.
That's a weird one, because when Brady was there, they had one of the largest playbooks in the NFL. I don't know if they've watered it down, having the changes that have taken place, but you know. And you go back to if all the weapons that Brady had, and I'm not taking anything away from Brady, but if the Patriots still had all those weapons, you know,
where would he be? Yeah. Gronk,
Edelman, you know, James White, if he was healthy. You know, you had these Sony Michel, you had all these different threats that this guy had. I mean,
maybe it would be a different story.
Different story. You could probably put any quarterback in there and plug and play.
Right.
And again, not taking anything away from Brady. You're still going to have the talent to be able to lead a team, but you can plug and play. You just don't have the same talent that he had in there. And when Brady left, it kind of like cleaned house. A lot of people left within a year, or the year before, or the year that it all happened. So
well, the Patriots have won 3 out of their last 4 now. So maybe it's they're starting to get the younger guys that are in there now are starting to get where they're supposed to be and get how the quarterback's going to react to this stunt or whatever. Maybe they're starting to get there. So we'll see. So you got it's Patriots at the Panthers. Who do you got?
Patriots.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I debated on this one because I said it. You know, does it make a difference if McCaffrey's back? Would I lean towards the Panthers? Honestly, if they put him in and he's really, really that healthy to where he's going to be able to be in and get probably 70% of the carries, then you might want to say, yeah, that's the way you'd go. I just don't see that guy coming back and being that healthy to where, and I could be wrong. I mean, maybe, you know, maybe they've kept him out. Maybe he was healthy last week and they kept him out just to give him another week. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
But, you know, if that guy came back and he can do what he needs to do to lead that team, then, you know, there is that chance. But I think the Patriots are finally starting to click a little bit.
Well, it's Thursday, and this is the first time he's hit the field, right? McCaffrey is. So
this morning.
To me, that doesn't bode very well for him being given an extra week last week, because they would have had him early in the week working on the game thing. So.
Right.
All right, moving on. Vikings at the Ravens. again, played it in the NFL. How does a team that has a game under control, like the Vikings had last week against one of the best teams in the NFL, and then squander it at the end like that, how mentally do you bounce back and go, all right, that's gone. Let's just forget that happened and let's move on. Is that realistic?
Yeah, I mean, you try to do what you can. You try to check it at the door. I can tell you, coaches, one of the biggest things, coaches try to say, it's time to move on to the next week. But believe me, in practice, those coaches aren't forgetting what happened last week, because every time you do something, they're bringing up. That's why.
Yep, you did that in the second quarter last week, and
exactly why we lost last week, or exactly why we had the problem we had last week. In my fantasy league, I have Justin Jefferson in there, and I'm just looking at it saying, man, we really got the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't getting the ball. He wasn't getting passes to him. The couple that he did get were behind him. The O-line wasn't stopping any of the pressure from getting through. They just fell apart. I mean, it was just an absolute crumble for that team.
And then on the other side, you have the Ravens, who've been playing really well. They had a week off to prepare, so they're feeling good. They had a chance to watch the game and review and everything else and prepare. They're 5.5-point favorites. I don't know that. I thought the Cowboys would blow out the Vikings last week, and that's what I said on here, that they were gonna demolish them.
Yeah.
The Vikings played well for a good part of it. Will they be able to do the same thing against the Ravens? Will they be able to stay in the game, and this time, instead of squander it away at the end, hold on and at least till the last couple seconds when they missed the field goal?
Yeah, it's one of those things. You look, the Ravens have been playing well. They've started clicking. They don't have any huge playmakers out there that are really, really being the superstar. They're kind of doing it as a team. Right. Defense has stepped up when they needed to step up, and they've gotten some 3-and-outs and gotten the team off the field. I'm a big fan of, when a team comes back off a bye week, that, they should be rested. And it doesn't always work out that way. The downfall also could be, is Baltimore going to take the Vikings lightly because of what happened? I would like to say that rested team coming back in is ready to go. They're firing on all cylinders. They've had the extra time. A lot of people, don't realize that just because the team had a bye week doesn't mean they didn't practice all week. So it gave them 2 full weeks to practice against Minnesota's scheme.
When a team has a week off and the other team does not, do they develop their game plan following, like on this case, develop the game plan following the Vikings losing to the Cowboys, or is this something that they've already developed the week before, put things in, at least the basics in, some things that they think they're going to be able to do before that game even happens again?
The basics are in. I mean, you know who your key personnel are. So, I mean, who your keys are, whether it's a running back, a tight end. I mean, you got so many great tight ends in the league right now. A lot of teams, anybody who's going to play against Kansas City. I mean, you're playing against Tyreek Hill and you're playing against Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
So you game plan for that. I don't care if it's 2 weeks ahead of time or the week going in. So, I mean, you're still game planning against the individual players that you're playing against. And granted, they're looking at last week's game, but they're looking at the past 5 weeks games, 6 weeks games. They're looking at everything. A lot of the player personnel packages and stuff all stay the same. So
there are some keys like, he's 2 yards off the line of scrimmage. They like to do this, or he's spread out. Watch for the jet sweep out of this formation. Those things may change, but
a lot of it's personnel packages. For example, you could run third down, 3rd and 7. You may have a package. The coach on the sideline could be calling for a husky package. You're putting in certain personnel, and
extra tight end or extra
correct.
lineman.
So that's what teams are scouting for. So you may have a guy with a defensive background that he's actually an offensive coach, and that's what he's doing, breaking film down. He's watching
your own team.
What offensive package is coming in, and you're scouting your own offense against the other team's defense. So if you see that, in this case, Minnesota's bringing in a big boy package, double tight end, etc., you're scouting it with the defense of, hey, when this happens 73% of the time, this is what they're doing,
Okay.
And that's what you game plan for when you're breaking the film down.
So the Ravens should be more than prepared for whatever the Vikings have.
You would like to think so. They rested, and they've had 2 weeks of the same practice plan.
And they're happy, and the Vikings are going, man, what happened?
Yeah.
All right, we're on the Ravens?
Ravens.
All right. Your second favorite team, the Chargers, are at the Philadelphia Eagles.
There we go. Of course, I'm looking for the home team advantage in this one. I'm looking for the upset. The Chargers have a lot of talent out there. They just do. Herbert's a really good-looking quarterback. Guys got good control in the pocket. We used to, as Raider fans, and I followed the Chargers closely. We used to love the fact that the fourth quarter of a Charger game, Rivers usually crumbled.
Does
and
something wrong, yeah.
It was 90% of the time it was turnovers. Rivers somehow would turn the ball over in the fourth quarter. Herbert doesn't do that. He's able to control the pace of the game, and he's proven that already. So I mean, they look good. They've got a lot of weapons. Eckler, Williams. I mean, they've got a lot of guys on that team that are playmakers. If I'm picking this one, and I'm not picking with my heart, I'm going to say, yeah, the Chargers will probably win this game.
It seems like it, and again, the Eagles strike me as a team that has a lot of talent, but just doesn't have that. Here we go. Let's claim this thing. I mean, they're in a division that at the beginning of the year, not so much anymore, but at the beginning of the year, we're like, this could go. Each team has 25% chance to win.
Yeah.
There was nobody that really stood out, and we said, all right, this is a team. The Cowboys, if Dak was healthy and if Zeke was playing well and all that, then yeah, they probably had more talent. We knew Dallas had a better defense or the best defense in that conference. But I really expected the Eagles to be right there. I don't know if it's Jalen Hurts. I've seen a lot of footage of him on the sideline yelling at teammates, which as a young guy, that just doesn't play.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and I don't, Eagles are 0-3 at home this year. Again, that's such a friendly place for Philadelphia, and nobody else. Everybody gets beat up there. I think that the Chargers are the better team for sure, and they've stumbled the last few weeks. But I don't know, if that's people figuring out Justin Herbert or if it's people figuring out that, or it's him stumbling. I'm not really sure. To me, this is a hard one.
You look at last week. Williams had the worst game of the season. It was his worst outing of the season. It is a tough one. I agree. The Eagles have a lot of talent on that team, but I think it's a lot of misuse and lost talent. They're not using these guys where they need to be. They do. Someone needs to get a hold of Jalen and just say, hey, dude, look, you need to be the leader of this team. Stop with the emotional outbreaks and this, that, the other. These guys are all looking to you and how you lead and your reaction to. You throw an interception or you throw a bad pass on a 3rd and long in the first quarter, there's a lot of football left.
Yeah.
You getting pissed off and getting into it with your players in the first quarter isn't going to help you with the longevity of going out and winning a ball game.
And it's funny that we're talking about that in this game because you were talking about Phillip Rivers. The one person in the entire league that drove me crazy with his complaining was Phillip Rivers.
Oh, yeah. Cry me a river.
Yeah. Cry me a Phillip Rivers.
Yeah. So, for me in this game here, I'm going to go to bed Saturday night and pray for a snowstorm in Philadelphia.
There you go. All right. You know what? I'm going to go. You'd said the Chargers with your brain, not with your heart. Yeah. I'm going to go with you on that.
Yeah.
All right. A couple of days ago, this was going to be a great game. Packers at the Chiefs. Packers have got some of their weapons coming back. They're coming off a big emotional win. And then they lose their quarterback for at least.
Settle down, but that's why I wore the referee jersey today, guys. I had to keep John under control. Because Rodgers is going to be out.
There's a lot of people saying John should be wearing a shirt with you.
There you go. There you go.
Next time.
Yeah, the referee jersey was well thought out. I had to keep John a little under control here. Big game for the Pack and going up against the Chiefs, who aren't having a very good season. Let's just put it out there. Mahomes is not running the ball the way he used to. He's not as mobile, not as agile. You think that this could have been the game right here that really could have been the nail in the coffin for the Chiefs. Really could have been pretty much the turning point for their season. And now you got Rodgers who won't be playing.
I'm heartbroken. I really thought it was going to be a fun game. All right, so Jordan Love. Now, so here's the problem with this now. So Jordan Love comes in and plays great and then what? We spend the rest of the year talking about, well, Jordan Love played great, so Aaron Rodgers at the end of this year is gone.
Yeah.
Or Jordan Love plays terrible, and then we spend the rest of the year going, well, Aaron Rodgers has us over a barrel now. What are we going to do? We don't have a backup quarterback. They
Right.
brought in Blake Bortles, good Lord, who is going to be the third string guy because our regular third string also has COVID.
Played for 16 teams in the NFL, I think.
Yeah. Bankert? So, that being said, I think the Packers still win, and here's why. Matt Hanrahan and I sat here last week and we talked about it, and talked about the game, and I said the Packers don't have a chance. They've got all their starting wide receivers are out, their starting DBs are out, their starting outside linebackers are out. They're just going to get crushed. And he said, no, not if they run the ball. And I said, yeah, okay, if they run the ball. One of the few teams that have a worse rush defense than the Cardinals is the Chiefs. And so having the two-headed horse with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon running the ball so effectively, and A.J. Dillon, every game that he plays, he just seems to be a little bit more like the light bulb came on. Last year he would run into the pile full speed, 100 miles an hour into the pile, and that would be the end of it. Now he's making cuts, and he's spinning, and he's running over people and getting them off balance and all that. He really looks good. So I believe that what's going to happen is that those two guys are going to run and run and run, and then they'll have Jordan Love throw when he needs to.
Right.
I think he's a good quarterback. We haven't seen him, obviously, in any meaningful games. He's played some preseason. I think he's a good quarterback. And I think with the Chiefs reeling, I think that inside that locker room, there's got to be questions, right?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest takeaways for you right now on this is that the Chiefs' defense doesn't apply a whole lot of pressure. That's one of the big things right now. So I don't think that, and now, who knows, maybe they game plan this week knowing that now Rodgers isn't going to be there, so their game plan is to just keep pressure, pass rush. But again, I would think that the Chiefs are looking at this thing as, hey, they still have the threat of the deep ball, and they have a two-headed horse now in the backfield. So it's going to come out to, if they're really, really focused on that run, they're not going to be putting a whole lot of pressure on Love. And Love's going to have the time to do what he needs to do downfield. I mean, a lot of teams that have played the Chiefs this year, they haven't really been under pressure. The Chiefs have been able to do okay at stopping the inside run. A lot of outside stuff has gotten around on them. And then you look at the Chiefs right now. They've lost every running back they have. They've got Hilaire was their guy, but last week everything went to Frank Gore. Or not Frank Gore, I'm sorry, Gore.
Yeah.
Everything went to Gore. And Williams wasn't getting the touches that he's used to having, but you had Gore breaking some 16, 17-yard runs. I mean, the guy was making things happen. Kelsey still doesn't seem like himself. He hasn't had his phenomenal breakout like he normally does. For halfway through the game, he negative yardage, So I don't know. But I put it all back on, and, quarterbacks want the fame and the glory. Well, in this case, you got to put it back on Mahomes and say he's not leading that team. It's not the Mahomes of old. He's not as mobile. He's not as agile. He's not getting downfield. He's still making some of his tricky little left-handed passes and this, that, the other, but the cross-the-body stuff, I mean, you just haven't seen that. He's not taking the chances. He's running out of bounds. And, we were talking about it the other day. I was like, man, did he take a big hit or something that stopped it? But I don't recall him taking any big, crazy hit that has injured him or has made him gun-shy when he's in the pocket. It just seems like there's been a change this year, and he's not as aggressive as he was. Tyreek Hill has kind of been the glory. Harden stepped up, and so has Pringle. They've made some big plays when they need to. But I don't think, honestly, even at this point right now with Rodgers being out, I don't think they're going to have the answer for the Packers. I think the Packers defense is going to be able to control them. And then, like you said, you run the ball at them, I think you're going to be able to get the yardage. And then if they try to really focus on that, I wouldn't take anything away from Love. I mean, he's got an arm. The guy can read the plays. He knows how to read a passing tree, and he's going to be doing his checkdowns and getting the ball where he needs to get him. He's still got a lot of a lot of offensive threats on that field.
Yeah, and I think that if you you're talking about trying to put pressure on Love, and that opens up the checkdowns and little swing passes and
Yeah.
that. So I think you're right on that. The other thing that you were talking about, Holmes not running as much as he has in the past, I think him throwing more has led to, I mean, we've seen some crazy throws from him,
Yeah.
bouncing off people's helmets and being picked off. Some decisions that you're just like, whoa, I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah.
So maybe that extra time in the pocket has not been a good thing for them.
No, he's
so.
forced a lot of balls in the double and triple coverage.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, I feel much better now. Thank you for talking me off the ledge. Titans at the Rams. We talked about that team that added Von Miller. That would be the Rams. Titans are without Derrick Henry, who
Crucial.
You just ripped the heart right out of the Titans. Now you got Ryan Tannehill, who has to be the guy. Before he didn't have to be the guy. You could chew up a lot of clock handing it off to Derrick Henry and running over people and ripping their heart out instead. But I don't really see any way that the Titans beat the Rams here. To me, I think the Rams,
I think it's going to
especially
be
with that three-headed monster now. I mean,
Yeah.
where do you go? You got Aaron Donald putting pressure up the middle. You got Von Miller on one side and the other linebacker on the other. And it just seems to me that there's really, I don't know what you would even do here.
no.
It's
You
a
know,
cakewalk, right?
well, you look at Tennessee. Tennessee just doesn't have. Honestly, they just don't have threats. I mean, they were. You know, the leader on that team was Derrick Henry. He was the go-to guy. He was the guy that made plays happen. I mean, he was. Yeah, and still is. I mean, fantastic running back. You know, I was reading something this morning. They don't know if he's going to come back this year. They said that this injury, they're talking about 6 to 8 weeks, and they said by that time they may just say, you know, depending on where their season is, not bring him back.
Yeah,
Keep him out for the season.
it wouldn't make any sense to try and rush him back to play a game when you're 6-10.
Yeah, you would need to be playoff bound to see Derrick Henry step back on the field this season, in my opinion. And Tannehill's too inconsistent. He's never been a super consistent quarterback. When he gets pressured, he makes a lot of bad decisions. He'll throw the ball away, and rather than get that ball out of bounds, he'll throw it into coverage, and just bad things happen.
He's not the guy that if you're down by 10 with 10 minutes left in the game, you go, all right, a couple of stops and we got this.
Right.
He's not the bring him back and be the hero.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, you look traditionally in the NFL. I mean, you can count them. You can count them on your fingers. You know, you've had Breeze. We talked about him earlier, but Rivers was a great 2-minute quarterback. Derek Carr, you know, great fourth quarter quarterback. Mahomes, I don't think has needed to because he hasn't really been in the position to have to. Ben Roethlisberger was one. Aaron Rodgers, you know, God, the guy threw 2 Hail Marys for 2 touchdowns in a minute and a half.
Yeah.
You know, you got these guys that just when they're under pressure, they step up, they stay composed, and that becomes contagious within the team. You know, the team believes, hey, you know, this game is not over. We got time. We're going to get downfield. We're going to make this happen. Tannehill's just not that guy. He doesn't have the composure for it, and especially going against what people are still saying, even though the Cardinals beat them. You know, people are still saying the Rams are the best team in the NFL right now, and you know, me personally, I'd probably have to agree.
Whoa.
It is what it is.
Settle down.
Hey,
Move on.
hey.
There's like 3 7-1 teams
I know, but
in the NFC. Right?
I'm looking at these teams overall, offense and defense. Everything they have, the total package, and you got to look at it.
And they just got
And
stronger.
you just got Von Miller. I mean, you know.
My son-in-law, my daughter, the general manager here, all Rams fans. Hate to hear that.
I know you do, but we want to, you know,
All right.
keep it real for the folks that go across the river and bet their life savings. So.
All right. 7.5 point favorites. I think that they more than cover that,
Yeah.
in my opinion, for sure.
I'd call Rams by 10.
All right. Bears at Steelers. This is our Monday night game. That's the only reason it's on here.
Yeah.
I don't really think it's going to be much of a game. Steelers seem to have found their groove now.
Mhm.
The Bears have gone back to being the Bears,
Yeah.
just with a different quarterback.
Bears rule, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
See anything here that?
Najee Harris stepping up. He's making a little bit of a name for himself. It took him a couple games to get rolling. You got Ben, who you would think the guy's an antique and needs to be put on a shelf. I mean, he's still coming through. I mean, there was a couple of balls that he threw last week that, God, man, they were on a rope. You see these receivers in the end zone. I don't even think they were expecting the ball coming that fast, and catching these balls and just the things that they've done. So I mean, I wouldn't count the Steelers out. I still think they're just kind of hitting their stride right now, and a lot of their weapons are really starting to open up. So I know one of the receivers was out. Juju, I think.
Yeah.
I think Juju's out. But you look at Claypool. Claypool finds ways to get open. I mean, he's put himself in some fantastic positions on third down, and he's making plays happen. So, and like I said, Najee Harris, guy's just making a name for himself.
Yeah.
So.
Does the Justin Fields Bears offense have a chance against that Steeler line with T.J. Watt and the rest of the game there?
I don't think so. I think the Steelers defense, they still bring a lot of pressure, and I don't think that the Bears line is going to be able to stop them. So, if the Bears are going to change some stuff up, and it's going to be a lot of one-step drop, quick slants, that type of stuff, some screen plays. I mean, you might if he's getting rid of the ball quick. I don't see their run game. Their run game is falling apart on them. Montgomery went out, and since then, just nothing's happened. And so I don't see them even having any kind of a threat as a run game. So it's not even necessarily that you need to bring the pressure all the time. If you can set your defense up to play some good coverage and just get some, downfield or some upfield pressure on the quarterback, he's going to throw the ball away. Yeah. I don't think they're going to be able to do anything. It's going to come down to, if you can cover those guys. And I would say the majority of it's probably all going to be under 10-yard passes. I don't see him having the time to get a 5-step drop and run through his passing tree.
Will an NFL team change their style from, cover 3 or cover 4, a kind of a zone thing, to a cover 0 man up thing based strictly on how their defensive line will get after the offensive line?
In this case, yeah. I mean, if you know you're going to go up against a team that has literally no run game, why are you, I can use, for example, if I'm going to run an Eagle 4-3 defense, for example, why am I going to stay in an Eagle 4-3 if I know these guys have absolutely no run threat at all? If there's nobody there, I mean, I can rotate into a different set. Yeah. Go to a man coverage. Hit these guys off the line. If you know the quarterback's not going to have time to drop back, maybe float your safeties a little bit. Give your safeties a little more responsibility downfield and bring your corners up and let them press. Go into a press, man, play a bump and run off that line. Slow these guys down. And then you can send these guys on blitzes. You can have linebackers going on blitzes left and right. And when you're doing that, if you're going to stop these receivers off the line, there's no threat of a run. I mean, if they do have a running back in there, you're going to stop them. You're going to basically clog the middle on these things. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like I said, the Bears don't have anybody that can do anything on the run right now.
All right, so we're both on the Steelers.
Both on the Steelers.
All right. We get into the Raiders game and then the Cardinals game. So the Raiders are at the Giants. We all know what's going on with the Raider land. You're a Raiders fan. With Gruden a couple weeks ago, and they seem to be doing okay after that. And then we have the Henry Ruggs, the third fiasco from the other day.
Yeah.
How does something like that affect? I mean, the Raiders are a better team than the Giants.
They are.
There's no discussion there. They're at the Giants. They're still 3-point favorites. So there's no discussion on who the better team is. Mentally, where do you think this team is at with all the things going on?
Man, it's tough. I talked to a buddy of mine's a trainer still with the Raiders now, and talked to him, and they're trying to stay as positive as they can, and they're trying not to have any discussion about the Ruggs situation. They're in the locker room, in the house, inside the house, but Carr did his press release and said, he's sticking by Ruggs' side. He's in no means is he condoning or endorsing what he did or what happened, but Derek's a very religious guy, and he believes that right now Ruggs is going to need some love, and he said if nobody else is going to do it, he's going to be the one there to love Ruggs. And It's just an unfortunate situation, man. And you know, you and I were talking about it before this whole thing, before we started doing the show today. It's just, you got these young guys that are coming into college, 21 years old, 22 years old, and
here's $10 million. Good luck.
yeah, and you know, we got a guy that unfortunately, you know, he's out here driving an $80,000-$90,000 car. Didn't use his better judgment, went out to a bar, had too much to drink, got into a car doing 156 miles an hour and rear-ended somebody. And unfortunately, you got innocent bystanders, and that are the ones that ultimately are paying the price with their life. And you know, some people are saying, oh, Ruggs is going to get off, he's going to walk on these charges, or they're going to give him a slap on the wrist. No, he's not. I mean, you're not above the law, and that's what these athletes need to remember when they're in these situations. Is, you know, you're going to be held accountable.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, and this could happen anywhere in the country, but do you think that the NFL putting a team in Las Vegas with the atmosphere in Las Vegas and the 24-hour-a-day party lifestyle and all those things, and the Raiders on a bye week, and remember they were on a bye, do you think that awarding a franchise to Las Vegas was a bad idea?
No, not at all. I mean, you got teams in
South
New
Beach.
York, and
Yeah,
you got
New
teams
Orleans.
in Florida, New Orleans. I mean, I don't want to give the bad rap to the city and say it's the city's fault. It's not. I mean, come on, it's an individual. You made the decision. You were drinking. As much as I'm a Raider fan through and through, played for the team, I'm a diehard. I'll bleed silver and black till the day I die. It doesn't matter. It's one of those situations. You feel for the guy. Believe me, I'm sure this guy, you know, he just got out on bond, but I'm sure he was sitting in that cell remorseful as to what he did. But there's no matter how much remorse you have, it doesn't change what you've done. You know, if you gave the guy the opportunity to take it all back, would he? Yeah, I guarantee you he would, and he'd probably never have a drink again in his life. But you know, what has happened? It's horrible. But no athlete's going to be above the law. It's one of those situations that, and it bugged me. I'm on a lot of the Raider forums, and as a former Raider, and I'm reading through some of these things, and these guys are talking about how the Ray Rice situation, and this, and all these people got away with it. And there's other athletes have been involved in the death of other people, and they walked and they never. Bottom line, guys, is someone drank too much, got in a car, 156 miles an hour, hit another car in a residential area and killed someone.
None of that's disputed for sure.
No,
I mean,
I mean double the legal limit in Nevada on his blood talk. So it is what it is. It's an unfortunate situation. You know, with what you're saying, does it have an effect in the locker room with the team? 100%. I mean, you know, this guy was an up and coming star, fastest man in the NFL right now. You know, I mean, you've got this kind of praise. He's finally been breaking out, you know, sophomore year here, having a great year. Big play maker for the team. Is this going to affect the Raiders season? By all means. You know, anybody who tells you differently is a fool. You got someone like this, and he was very well liked by the team. You know, loved him in the locker room, loved him on the field. It was just one of those guys, you know. So yeah, is it going to be detrimental impact to these guys? Was practice the same this week? I guarantee you it wasn't. You know, people want to say, oh no, we got to go on and practice as normal. No, you're going to go out on the field and you're going to practice and you're going to do your best to stay focused on what you're going to focus on, or what you can focus on and what you need to focus on. But is 100% of the focus where it needs to be? Absolutely not.
you're still a human. You still got.
You got emotions, you know, you got feelings. And,
Does any of that matter against the Giants?
I would say so. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, the Giants, they've had
They had some games they played well last week.
They played last week, you know, and I hope, you know, before this happened, I hope the Raiders didn't have the mentality of, oh yeah, well, this is an easy one. We're playing the Giants. You know, you look at it and you got to come out and be prepared to play and forget what a team's record is. One of the worst things I hated when I was a coach was having my team know the other team's record. And to me, they're all 5-0. Everybody we play is undefeated, and that's the mentality you need to have. Because you know, the offense that we run, they may be great against. They just haven't seen that offense yet in the past 5 weeks. You know, they may be set up and poised to play against us, and vice versa. So it's just one of those things. You know, it's what went on in camp this week and what went on behind the scenes with that team. I'm sure they've had a couple meetings and there's been some discussions about, this has happened. We need to be quiet about it. We want to be there for the guy, this, that, the other, as a teammate. But at the same time, we still have a bigger picture. We
got a job to do.
We got to go to work.
All right.
And I think that's one of the things. I think a lot of people, when they look at athletes, they forget that. This is their job. They got to go to work. Just like we get up every day and we got to go to work, regardless of what happens. These guys got to go to work. I'm gonna stick by it, and with my faith in my boys and the team coming together and playing and doing what they need to do, I'm still gonna go with the Raiders on the road, and I'm calling Raiders by 6.
Yeah, I think that Derek Carr has shown his leadership. I think that he, and especially with what you just said about his support and everything, I think that he steps up and he wills them to a win as well. I think that we see the best Derek Carr that there is this week, for sure.
I love, getting away from the Ruggs thing and taking that negative side. I think you just look at the way the Raiders have been playing. I mean, Carr's one of the top quarterbacks left right now. One of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league right now, and that the stats are showing. You look at the weekly stats, and he's up there. And if he can come out and continue to do what he did, sure, we're taking away one target, but it's time. You got Zay Jones, you got Edwards, you got Waller, you got Jacobs, you got Drake. You got all these guys out there that are still big players. The defense has been playing strong. So as long as they can come together and do what they got to do, and for those 60 minutes, come to work.
Yeah,
So.
I agree. Raiders. Cardinals at the Niners. So they played earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
The Cardinals won. They had the Niners had Trey Lance playing
Right.
instead of Garoppolo. So Garoppolo's back for this one. We don't know if Kyler Murray's going to play. I guess he's a game time decision
Correct.
on this. All week long we've been hearing, all right, yes, we lost to probably the best team in football, the Green Bay Packers.
There you go. By
Okay,
far.
I didn't
by
hear-
far.
Okay, I lied. I didn't hear anybody say that. They did say we lost to a good team. That's going to happen. We didn't expect to go undefeated, so we're just going to push it out of our system and move on. Do they come back and punish the 49ers if Kyler Murray's playing?
If
Or do you think-
Kyler Murray's playing, I think they're going to come back with something to prove. I think they're going to come back. They're going to fire on all cylinders. When you come off of an undefeated record and you lose, you come back and you take it personal. You're going to come back out. You're going to do everything that you possibly can. Now, can that create mental mistakes? Do you put too much pressure on yourself? It's possible. You are going against a San Francisco team who, let's be honest, they've started to kind of hit their stride a little bit. They're starting to link some plays together. They're making better drives. You do have Garoppolo. I never in my life thought I would be saying this, but Garoppolo's looked impressive.
In this little streak since he came back from his injury, he's looked impressive.
He's looked impressive. So, if Samuels and if they can link everything together, could they make this a game? Absolutely, by all means. A big key, AJ Green.
Yeah. So you got AJ Green, you got Hopkins, the 1 and 2 receivers. AJ Green is out on COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Hopkins was injured, came back in, came back out a couple times last week. Not sure what his status is going to be come game time. I know that he's going to try to play.
And they really don't even have an injured on him.
Yeah.
So right now they're showing that he's active.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, you're right, and it goes back to, is it one of those situations where he hurt his ankle and he's okay and they're just not saying they're going to let it draw out till game time, or is he really hurt and it's going to be a real game time decision? You don't know. This is a tough one. If Kyler Murray's healthy and he's playing, I'd say Cardinals all the way. If Kyler Murray's out, I think it's going to be a flip of a coin at that point.
All right. So we're not going to call this one.
If
We don't know if Kyler Murray's playing.
I'll be gutsy. I'll go on record. If Kyler Murray's playing, I'd go Arizona by 5. If Murray's not playing, I'll go San Francisco by 3.
Really?
Yep.
Well, I think that if Kyler Murray is playing or not playing, the Niners beat him.
Think so?
Yeah.
I like
I
it.
just think that there's a blueprint out there now.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's all I got to say about that.
There
Send
we
your
go.
hate mail to MC Curtis at Facebook. All right. Others, ready for some rapid fire?
Let's do it.
Here we go. The New York Jets at the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are favored by 11.5. Jets are without Zach Wilson. The Colts have the great Carson Wentz.
Yeah. I would go with the Colts.
Yeah, I think
I don't think the Jets are going to do anything.
that's tonight's game. Are you gonna watch it?
No, I'll probably be
Watch
out
the
at
car.
I'll be out at Nacho Bar. I'm taking the side by side. We're hitting the desert.
Yeah. You know what? That's a good call. That's
Yeah.
probably what I'd do. You got the Bills at Jacksonville. Bills are 14-point favorites. Jacksonville. I think this one's over by halftime.
Well, I'd agree.
Okay. And Texans at the Dolphins.
Texans haven't been impressive all season. Dolphins right now, when they hit their strides, they show some signs of greatness. And if they can get Gaskin more consistent, I think they could do something. But
Speaking of consistent, what's going on with Tua? I mean, they gave him like a vote of confidence, and I'm like, what? Why?
yeah,
They said 2 of the 3 worst scoring offenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
These 2.
Yeah.
I knew that about the Texans. I didn't expect it from
yeah.
the
Well,
Dolphins.
the crazy thing was when the Dolphins started the year, they were projected to be one of the top 10 teams.
Tua has taken a step backwards.
Yeah.
All right. That is it for today. I think we nailed it.
Well, of course, always do, right?
Good job, man. All right. Thank you for watching The Huddle. This is brought to you by Anderson Ford of Bullhead City. Don't forget to go out and check out all the things that they've got going on the 19th over at Anderson Ford here on Highway 95. They have their bingo to support the Firefighters Toy Drive.
Firefighters Toy Drive. And then December 11th, mark your calendar, we'll have DJ Loki up on the rooftop of Anderson Ford. We're going to have the River Cruisers, 928 Riders, the Canine Association, Men of Fire. They'll all be out. We're doing a huge car show from 6 o'clock to midnight. Check that one out. And then a few days later, after we raise all those toys, we will be over at the Anderson Field House on the 15th. Bring the kids by. The kids get to come in. They get to walk through the field house and pick out any toy that they want from Anderson Ford. So come on by, check that one out. And one last thing on our way out, River Valley, Coach Clark, playoff game tomorrow night. Go get them. Good luck to the boys out there at River Valley.
Go get them, Dust Devils. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you here next week for The Huddle.